The afternoon in Black Hollow carried an almost palpable unease. Dense, dark clouds pressed against the sky while a cold wind swept through the narrow streets, causing the bells of the old church to jingle in an irregular, foreboding rhythm. Inside the stone structure, the atmosphere was heavy with anticipation and restrained anxiety. Holden Mercer, a well-known businessman and prominent figure in the town, was about to marry Ivy Prescott, whose kindness and dedication to the community were well regarded. The elegantly dressed guests exchanged nervous whispers, absorbing the tension permeating the environment. Elias Carrington, best man and Holden's closest friend, stood by the groom, his gaze fixed and dark. Beneath the polished surface, a shared secret hung in the air, making every detail of that afternoon feel as sharp as a blade. The officiant raised his voice to pose the classic question, and a dense silence fell over the place. Suddenly, the sound of a vibrating phone sliced through the air, shocking everyone present. The glow of the screen briefly illuminated Elias's face, who exchanged a charged look with Holden. Between them, a silent understanding formed, a flicker of fear and something irreparable. Time seemed to slow. The expressions of the guests blurred into confusion, which erupted into panic when two gunshots rang out in the church. The music ceased abruptly, and a moment of silence preceded the screams of horror. Guests dropped to the floor, some tried to run but were paralyzed by shock. Holden was the first to fall, followed by Elias, both motionless, in a scene that froze the hearts of those present. The altar, once adorned with flowers and promises of happiness, was now stained red under the colored light from the stained glass windows. The church, a sanctuary of union and hope, had become a mute witness to an unprecedented tragedy. What no one in Black Hollow could have imagined was that the revelations to follow would stain not just that day but the deepest roots of the town. Black Hollow was a town marked by the contrast between its provincial tranquility and the hidden stories its inhabitants only whispered about. The cobblestone streets, lined with centuries-old brick houses, held secrets from generations past. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and where Holden Mercer, with his business success and charismatic demeanor, stood out as a respected figure. His constant presence at community events and leadership skills made his name synonymous with trust. Elias Carrington, on the other hand, was Holden's inseparable friend, sharing a history that went back to their school days. Known for his vibrant personality and unquestionable loyalty, Elias was the kind of person everyone liked having around. But in recent months, some close friends had noticed a subtle distance between him and Holden, though no one could explain why. Ivy Prescott, the bride, was the embodiment of kindness. Involved in charity work and social projects, she was seen as an example of altruism. Her union with Holden seemed the culmination of a story worthy of applause. However, for those paying attention, something in the weeks leading up to the wedding felt off: uneasy glances, moments of prolonged silence. With the tragedy that unfolded in the church, the stunned inhabitants of Black Hollow began searching for answers. Rumors spread quickly, fueled by fragments of information and speculation. The town, which had once buzzed with the anticipation of a grand wedding, now murmured about betrayals, secrets, and what else might be hidden beneath the surface of their seemingly ordinary lives. As days passed, one truth became clear: nothing in Black Hollow would be the same again. The church in Black Hollow, which still bore the remnants of chaos, became the center of an intense investigation. Police tape was stretched around the entrance, and the muffled sound of conversations between officers echoed beneath the stone arches. The first hours after the incident were marked by a series of unanswered questions and growing unease among the townspeople, who watched every step of the investigation with wary eyes. The first major breakthrough came with the analysis of Elias Carrington's phone, found among the wreckage of flowers and overturned pews. The messages exchanged between him and Holden Mercer revealed a secret relationship that dated back months before the ceremony. The discovery hit the investigators like a bomb, and when the first speculations began leaking to the local press, the town was split between shock and morbid curiosity. Ivy Prescott was called in for questioning. At first, her serene expression and composed demeanor confused the detectives, who expected to find someone more distraught. Her version of events was meticulously reviewed, and although her words were coherent, one detail stood out: she did not seem surprised. This subtle trait in her reaction planted a seed of doubt in the minds of the investigators, suggesting that perhaps Ivy knew more than she was revealing. Meanwhile, the town buzzed with rumors. Whispered comments in cafes and on street corners painted a picture of betrayal and secrets kept under lock and key. Ivy's name soon became the focal point of a narrative that began to emerge, turning her from a grieving bride into a possible silent accomplice. And although no direct evidence pointed to her involvement, the unease spread. As new leads emerged, one thing was certain: the case was evolving into something much more complex than a crime of passion. Initial suspicions gave way to a plot that began to involve more than just the three main players. What had started as an isolated tragedy now hinted at the existence of forces and secrets that no one in Black Hollow had foreseen. The atmosphere in Black Hollow became a mix of curiosity and tension. The revelations about Holden Mercer and Elias Carrington's relationship altered the town's perception of those involved but did not solve the mystery. What began as a shocking tragedy was now unraveling into something deeper and more disturbing. The investigative team intensified its efforts, revisiting evidence and re-interviewing witnesses. Among these reviews, a crumpled note was found in Holden's office, hidden beneath a pile of innocuous-looking papers. The message, written in rushed and shaky handwriting, read, "They know. There is no turning back." The note set off an alarm among investigators, who began to consider the possibility that Holden knew his secrets were about to be exposed. It was clear that he feared something more than Ivy's reaction. This discovery coincided with reports from close friends who described tense encounters between Holden and Elias in the weeks leading up to the wedding. Elias seemed to be under growing pressure, marked by erratic behavior and a more reserved demeanor than usual. Ivy Prescott, who had already been questioned, began to be observed more closely. The apparently calm demeanor she had shown before now seemed almost calculated. Witnesses reported seeing her at a local cafe a few days before the ceremony, speaking discreetly with an unknown person. This scene became a potential link to the cryptic messages and the note, leading investigators to speculate whether this mysterious figure had a direct connection to Elias's imminent revelation. Meanwhile, the town buzzed with theories. In cafes and on street corners, suspicious glances grew as rumors spread, fueled by the constant presence of police and journalists. The atmosphere in Black Hollow became suffocating, conversations were interrupted by whispers, and tension was palpable on every street. Old text messages between Elias and a close friend revealed another crucial detail: the phrase, "no more lies," appeared repeatedly, suggesting that Elias had planned to expose everything during the ceremony. He could no longer bear the burden of secrets and had made a drastic decision. This thought led the team to reconsider the motivations of everyone involved and question Ivy's role and that of the unknown figure in it all. The mystery deepened. Ivy, once a figure of compassion, was now seen as ambiguous, as much a victim as potentially an accomplice. The name of the person she had spoken to remained a mystery, but this connection suggested that something larger was at play. Black Hollow waited, with bated breath, not knowing that the next revelation would bring a truth no one dared imagine. The investigation reached a boiling point when an unexpected discovery shed new light on the events. During a detailed analysis of Elias Carrington's phone records, a call made on the night before the wedding to an unknown number, registered to a resident of a neighboring town, was found. The voice on the other end belonged to a lawyer, specializing in litigation and known for discreetly resolving delicate conflicts. The news of this call changed the course of the investigation. The lawyer was brought in to testify, and although he tried to maintain professional secrecy, it became clear that Elias had plans to expose his relationship with Holden Mercer during the ceremony. The decision was driven by a combination of guilt and mounting pressure. Recovered messages showed that Elias believed there was no longer any way to keep the secret without destroying everyone around him. His words echoed the phrase, "No more lies," which he repeated obsessively in conversations with his closest friends. The revelation changed the town's perception of Elias. He was no longer just the victim of a crime of passion but a complex figure, torn by internal conflicts and destructive urgency. Holden, on the other hand, seemed to have descended into despair upon realizing that Elias would not back down. The crumpled note found in his office became even more significant, a sign that he knew the end was near. Ivy Prescott was called for another round of questioning. Her eyes did not show the same composure as before. Small details, like the tremor in her hands, now betrayed the calm she tried to maintain. The investigation revealed that she not only knew about the relationship but had confronted Holden, adding an even greater layer of tension to the wedding day. The entire town felt the weight of the revelation. Each resident seemed more introspective, and conversations dwindled. The mystery, up to that point made up of secrets and speculation, began to unravel but not without leaving its marks. The investigators were about to discover that what seemed to be the conclusion was, in fact, only the tip of an iceberg hiding even darker secrets. The revelations hit Black Hollow like thunder, resonating in the minds and hearts of its residents. The trial that followed attracted a captivated and divided audience. Ivy Prescott was at the center of a narrative increasingly charged with tension and ambiguity. The courtroom, packed with spectators and journalists, buzzed with a heavy energy as witnesses were called and evidence presented. Testimonies from close friends and family painted a complex picture of Ivy. Some saw her as a victim of a plot in which she had no choice, while others whispered about the calculated coldness she displayed. During the trial, it became clear that Ivy had discovered the relationship between Holden and Elias weeks before the ceremony. Confronted with the truth, she had planned an approach to expose Holden but not in a violent way. The hearings revealed that Ivy had not acted directly on the wedding day, but the presence of the unknown person she had met at the cafe became a focal point. Investigators were still trying to identify who could have influenced the chain of events that led to the gunshots. Despite efforts, the identity of this figure remained a mystery, casting shadows over the trial. The sentence was read, bringing partial relief to the community but leaving a sense of uncertainty. Ivy was found innocent of any direct involvement in the tragedy, but the scars from her connection to the events ran deep. Theories of a fourth person involved continued to linger, fueling conversations on Black Hollow's cold nights. Despite the answers that surfaced, the feeling that something was out of place persisted. The somber faces of the townspeople reflected a still divided town where whispers and loaded glances indicated that the story was not entirely buried. A deeper truth seemed to still be lurking. Months passed since the trial, but Black Hollow was still a reflection of unease and whispered secrets. Even as it tried to resume its routine, the town could not shake off the shadow of the scandal that had shaken its foundations. Ivy Prescott, reclusive in her home, avoided glances and kept her distance. Isolation offered her the only protection against the rumors that surrounded her like a second skin. The whispers and looks from neighbors were constant reminders that peace was just an illusion. At the station, a young investigator on duty stumbled upon a forgotten folder on a desk. Opening it, he found a series of documents that had never been included in the official case file, old newspaper clippings, cryptic notes, and, among them, a letter addressed to Elias Carrington. The handwriting, shaky and urgent, contained a warning: if you keep seeking answers, you will put everyone at risk. A chill ran down the investigator's spine as he read the words. The connection to the unknown figure with whom Ivy had been seen at the cafe became even more intriguing. The whispers on Black Hollow streets intensified, and neighbors, who once shared confidences, now eyed each other warily, as if each might be hiding a dangerous secret. From the window of her house, Ivy watched the town that had never let her rest. Each day, the feeling that secrets still surrounded her grew stronger, like a shadow that refused to disappear. The chill down her spine made her believe that, no matter how much she tried to run, the truth was just waiting for the right moment to emerge. And so, as Black Hollow tried to ignore its open wounds, the question remained: who controlled the town's secrets, and how far would those secrets reach?